article. It was funny, but it was good. The fact that at least it's showing itself that people could gather in a small apartment in the Upper West Side on a Motzei Shabbos to drink beer, to watch TV, just talk in the name of Torah, in the name of Judaism, in the name of Hashra'a, of presence. So I think, if anything else, that it's just good for Jews to gather in a real way, and Jews to be wearing tight pants in the 21st century is even better. I wanted to speak tonight, not a normal chabura, it's not sources or anything, it's just murmurings that I've thought of, about Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu, Elijah, however you want to say it, he's a deeply enigmatic figure. He's very strange. He's very, very forceful and mean and angry when Klal Yisrael sin. Very forceful and really does not put up with anything. But at the same point, he's the one we look to for inspiration. He's the one we look to in our yearning. That Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come at some stage. At some point, Eliyahu Hanavi is going to arrive, and he's going to smooth a path out for Mashiach Tzidkenu. We don't know what Eliyahu is going to do. We don't know why he has to come. We don't know what we're going to do with his anger or his fierceness. But we know that before Mashiach comes, before everything is fixed, that Eliyahu needs to come onto the scene. So, because it's Motzei Shabbos, and because Motzei Shabbos is the time of Eliyahu Hanavi, you know that Eliyahu Hanavi comes on Motzei Shabbos. That's why we sing Eliyahu Hanavi. Because Eliyahu Hanavi can't come on Erev Shabbos, he can't come on Shabbos because Mashiach can't come then. Motzei Shabbos is the first time that there's a birth, the birth pangs of Eliyahu Hanavi. Motzei Shabbos is impregnated with the concept of Eliyahu's coming. Eliyahu always, our expectations for Eliyahu, and we can't deny it, our expectation for Eliyahu, first and foremost, which comes to the fore on Leil HaSeder, we all open the door for Eliyahu Hanavi. Year after year, I'm 26, so it's been 26 years since I've experienced us opening the door for Eliyahu, and at a certain point, we're not even expecting him anymore. We expect him in his unexpectedness. I mean, we're aware, we're certain that he's not going to be there. But yet we still open the door for him, and we still leave a kos out for him, and it's like an empty chair at a table. It's the chabura I gave once about a roshem. It's a trace of something that's not present, but because of that it's not present, we feel it most. That Eliyahu Hanavi is this figure in our history, in our hopes, that is there through not being there. He's the man who wasn't there. He's the missing piece that is always present because he's just not there yet. And it leaves us questioning and wondering and longing for him to finally show himself. We're not sure what Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come and do. That's why Chazal say that teku, which means Chazal, the Mamre Chazal, at the end, they just have no idea what the answer is. We're trying to be Mevayer Ratzon Hashem here. We're trying to understand what the point or what the halacha is, and we just can't get it. There's a tiyufta, there's a teku. At the end, it's Chazal raising their hands in defeat and saying, we just don't understand it. So instead of saying we don't get it, and it's broken, we say teku, which can be viewed as apologetic, that, we don't know the answer now, but Eliyahu Hanavi will come and answer all the sveikos for us, all our doubts. But I think that's what Eliyahu is all about. We don't know why Eliyahu is going to come. We don't know why we hope for Eliyahu. We don't know why we expect Eliyahu. But we believe deeply that Eliyahu is going to come and answer all the questions that we have with ourselves, the questions we've actually asked, questions that are not asked, just the questions about a world that's full of the stench of death, full of the stench of destruction and brokenness. New York, St. Louis, everywhere is inflamed with hate, and it's a stench that clogs the nostrils. It's a charon af, it's a deep anger of the nostrils that Hashem, Kaviyachol, like Rabbi Nachman says, is breathing deeply out of his nostrils, and it's an ashan, it's a smoke that comes out that tries to destroy the world. Because if a person has a chush, it doesn't have to be a chush of smell, it could be a chush of sensitivity. This is not the way things are supposed to be. The world is deeply, deeply shattered and cracked right now. People are dying, people are not dying, people are sick, and there's diseases at the edge. Everything is on the brink of utter chaos. And by the grace of God, by broken forces of security, we maintain a certain semblance of reality and normalcy. But everything is very much a feeling person wakes up in the morning with an anxiety, with a feeling in his stomach that this is another day in this broken reality. So we hope to Eliyahu Hanavi to come and answer it and fix these sveikos, these doubts that arise from the fact that we don't have clarity, we don't have vada'us, the or havadus that Rav Kook spoke so much about. We live in a world of disclarity, of olam melashon ha'elam, of hiddenness, of distance, and it's we're losing the ability to maintain the romanticism of feeling happy with the distance. You know, there are thinkers who have stressed that specifically in the hiddenness you find Hashem, and specifically in the destruction you find beauty. But that's nice for a certain while, and that was nice maybe after the Holocaust, after countless years of struggle. But 2014 now, I'm speaking, I could keep it on the eye, these Torahs are getting a little bit recycled, and we could convince ourselves day in and day out that there is an answer, and there is reason, and there is presence. But at the end of the day, we just want Eliyahu to come. We don't know why he's coming, but we're covered in suffix, we're covered in doubt to the soul, doubt about ourselves, doubt about our families, doubt about our communities, doubt about religion itself, doubt about God, doubt about anything, and we just daven that Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come. So there's a reason that Eliyahu Hanavi could only come on Motzei Shabbos, because Motzei Shabbos is it's a time of death. That's literally what happens. Death is described by the Torah as the neshama leaving the guf. So we know that on Shabbos we're endowed with a neshama yisera, get an extra soul, and on Motzei Shabbos the soul leaves. And we're told that all the hanhagos that we do by Havdalah, smelling the besamim, drinking the wine, rubbing the wine near our eyes to enable ourselves to see with the eyes of Shabbos, to defeat the redness of our eyes with the wine. But Motzei Shabbos is a time where the neshama yisera leaves us, and we literally experience the feelings of death. We experience, if a person is a feeling person, that is, if we don't cover ourselves up with sitting and talking to friends. But for a real feeling person, sitting on Motzei Shabbos is an experience of Medira, is falling from an apex to the lowest point. It's falling from being endowed with extra life spirit and dying, literally dying. So Eliyahu Hanavi comes specifically at that moment to help us. Eliyahu Hanavi comes to teach us how to deal with that transition from feeling fulfilled and feeling present with ourselves and feeling full of life and happiness and hashra of Shabbos, the presence of Shabbos, to dealing with the cold nakedness of Motzei Shabbos, which is a time of insomnia, as Rabbi Nachman says in Torah Kuf Yud Tes. He says, why is it hard to sleep on Motzei Shabbos? And Rabbi Nachman's not asking why it's hard to sleep. Rabbi Nachman is asking about that insomniac feeling of bewilderment and questioning and bumps that go, and things that go bump in the night, and things that make us scared. The night always represents things that make us afraid and things that make us uncomfortable with ourselves. The Sod Yesharim from Ishbitz, from Radzin, said that Me'emasai Korin Shema Ba'arvis. So from what time do we pray Kriya Shema at Arvis? So he says in his writings, the Kitvei Yad from his Talmidim, he wrote that Me'emasai Korin Shema Ba'arvis. Don't read it as when we read Kriya Shema Ba'arvis, but read it Me'emasai, from my fears and my anxieties. Emas is fear. Out of this existential worry within my heart, I'm forced to daven Kriya Shema Ba'arvis, because the night is a time of disillusionment and not being clear. And we daven on Motzei Shabbos, it's more felt. It's felt a little bit more on Motzei Shabbos when the world is out excited and partying. And Rabbi Nachman sat in this small shtetl in Ukraine feeling, why can't I sleep? Why am I having a hard time sleeping now? And the answer he gave was because Eliyahu Hanavi is supposed to come on Motzei Shabbos. And Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come and herald a time of no sleep. He's going to bring a time where we're awoken and we're not feeling the doubts of sleep and the doubts of dreams and the doubts of clarifying what's true and what's not true. And because there's an Or Choser from that, because there's a reverberating light from that feeling of Eliyahu Hanavi, so right now in Gullus we feel that distance and we feel that insomnia. Levinas, alav shalom, said that the Ilya, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, I'm sure he'll get on me, but the there is, he translated it as the there is, which is it's the tohu vavohu, it's the non-presence of reality, those times where we feel disembodied and we don't feel that we could understand anything about ourselves or why we're living in life or what we're doing here. So he described it as insomnia, the feeling that a person is awake at night when he truly wants to be sleeping, and the confusion that compounds him. It is so strong that you're not sure if you're in a dreamlike state or a non-dreamlike state. I have clients at the rehab I work with, they explain meth like that. After like the 7th or 8th day of rolling on meth, you begin to question what anything is. So, but Kedusha, that's the feeling that Rabbi Nachman was talking about on Motzei Shabbos, where we're not sure anymore if we're awake, if we're sleeping. And Eliyahu Hanavi comes specifically at that moment, because Eliyahu Hanavi is an individual who lives at doorways. If you look in Chazal, Eliyahu Hanavi is always by a Pesach. He's always by an opening. He's always by the opening of a cave, waiting for Rashbi, waiting for Rav Yossi to tell him when Mashiach is going to come, waiting for Rav Yossi when he's davening by the Churba. Eliyahu Hanavi is waiting outside for him, and Rashi says that he was Shamar Es HaPesach. He was waiting outside the doorway. So Rashi says, what does Shamar mean? And he says that it's like the pasuk by Yaakov Avinu, va'aviv shamar asadavar, that he was waiting. It's an awaiting. It's waiting for Mashiach. It's waiting for Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu is this individual who is constantly at the place of anticipation, of hope, of desire, of unending hope that the Jewish people live with throughout generations, through blood and through tears and through happiness. What the Jewish people have never let go of is the hope that they have that Eliyahu Navi is going to come, that Mashiach is going to come. And Eliyahu Navi is the embodiment of that hope. He is the embodiment of that hope that eventually all the doubts are going to be answered, and all the doubts of Jewish history and Jewish experience are going to be answered. And that's why Eliyahu Navi comes on a Motzei Shabbos at a point of death, at the point of the departure of the Holy Spirit that leaves us, when we're feeling devoid of any significance, and we feel the emptiness of Golus and the 6 days of week, and we're overcome by the stench of death and the stench of the weekdays. So we spell the Besamim to give us a koach, to deal with the doubts, and to deal with that stench, and to live with the smell of Besamim. And that's why we daven about Eliyahu Navi coming on Motzei Shabbos. And it's interesting that Eliyahu Navi is always found by the Pesach, always found by the openings, and always found by the cave, and always found by waiting and tikva, and it seems to be an interminable waiting. But if you look at the Tana Debei Eliyahu, it's a minhag amongst Hasidim, amongst Kedoshim, to learn Tana Debei Eliyahu, the Midrash of Eliyahu, you're supposed to learn it on Motzei Shabbos. So I thought when I was preparing this Chabura to think about Eliyahu, so I might as well look there, and I didn't know if I would find anything, but it's Min Hashamayim when you realize that the first word in it is exactly what you're trying to say about Eliyahu. So the Tana Debei Eliyahu opens like this. First word, Parak Aleph, is Vayigarish asa Adam. So man was pushed away, man was exiled. So Adam HaRishon was kicked out of Gan Eden. So you don't have more of a feeling of that than Motzei Shabbos, than Jewish experience nowadays, that we're living in a memory, the interminable memory of thinking and remembering the presence in Gan Eden. We remember we were there, we remember that things were good, we remember that Hashem was with us there, and that Adam HaRishon was perfect. And then, within a few minutes, man was kicked out. Man fell, everything was broken, man broke and everything broke. And we were kicked out, and we were deserted, and we were kicked out of Gan Eden. And the Tana Debei Eliyahu goes on to say that this was like a divorce, that a man divorces a woman, and there's a disconnection, a tear, a rupture of that which was once connected. And that's what the relationship was with Adam HaRishon and Gan Eden. Adam HaRishon was in Gan Eden and everything was there. And then he was kicked out and he sinned and he left and he had to be exiled. And the Jewish people have been living a life of exile since then. The Jewish people, everything about the Jewish people has been a life of exile. Levinas, again, so he writes in numerous places the difference between it's Shayach to Parshas Lech Lecha, but he writes that the Jew, based on Derrida actually says that as a Jew I'm a wanderer. He writes it all over the place and he explains that that's why we'll see why Eliyahu is connected to Bris Milah also. Derrida says that the fact that the sign of my being a Jew is an incision, and he was talking about Bris Milah, a circumcision, which is a cut, which is literally a cut that connects. It's a deconstruction, it's cutting away of something that makes me feel more connected, and that's what makes me a Jew. So Derrida said in numerous places, he said that all I've ever spoken about was circumcision. Everything is about circumcision. Derrida said that. I don't know if anything in him is understandable, that's least understandable, but he said such a thing. So Levinas, based on this Derridian concept, so he said that the Jewish people are by nature and inherently wanderers. They're constantly wandering and they're homeless and they're not feeling at home. And until we come to Eretz Yisrael in the times of Mashiach, we're not going to feel at home, which is why even when we're in Eretz Yisrael, Derrida says, we still maintain the davening of L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Even when we're in Yerushalayim, we're not in Yerushalayim, because we're still not there yet. It's a waiting that we're constantly anticipating the coming to be at one place. So Levinas said there's a difference between non-Jewish wandering and Jewish wandering. He says the paradigm of Jewish wandering is Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu is told, Lech lecha me'artzecha u'miladecha mibeis avicha, leave your place and your home, but he's not told a destination. It's an interminable wandering. Avram Avinu is destined to wander forever. And that wandering is where we find ourselves. We found ourselves in the desert. We got the Torah in the desert. We're people of the desert. We're people of no man's land. We're people of nothingness. We're people who embrace the destruction and the quietness of the desert. Masha'en Kain, Levinas says, is when you look at the paradigm of Western wandering, which would be Ulysses. Ulysses is a character, a literary character. And Ulysses, we're told, is a hero because he wanders and he eventually finds himself. He eventually finds himself back at home. Like the T.S. Eliot poem that says that at the end of our wandering, we'll come to understand the place for the first time. That it's a perfect circle for the non-Jews. It's a perfect circle for the Western world. That wandering ends with an answer of where we're going to come. But Jewish wandering ends with the answer of Teku. It ends with the fact that we're still living in Suffolk and we don't have an answer to the Suffolk, but we anticipate the answer by the man who wanders himself, and that's Eliyahu. Eliyahu comes to every bris milah. Eliyahu doesn't live in this world and he doesn't live in the next world. He's placeless. He's a placeless individual who wanders between both worlds. He's a transitionary figure who lives in the Pesach. That's why he's always found by openings. That's why he's found by the door. That's why he's always waiting and being awaited on and being anticipated, but never there, never present. Because Eliyahu is someone who's ungraspable, because he represents that internal drive of Jewish yearning that's unanswerable, which will only be answered with the coming of Eliyahu. So we see that the Tanit Eliyahu goes on to say that after Adam was megarish from Gan Eden, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu put the kruvim and the lahat hacharef hamesapechas, the swinging sword. If anything describes the reality of our situation now, is that we're trying to find our way back to plenitude, we're trying to find our way back to the Eitz HaChaim, but what's blocking us? It's the swinging sword that's incessantly stopping and going, and we're too afraid to take that jump. It's like that game Froggy, that's what comes to mind, unfortunately. Okay. That you don't know if you should go or not go, and you're living in this place of going and not going. We're living in a place of anticipatory anxiety, which can't ever be fulfilled or taken care of because we're so stuck in that place. And Eliyahu Hanavi comes and he tells us that we could come back to Gan Eden. And Motzei Shabbos is the time to come back to Gan Eden, to sneak our way through the Lehat HaCharef HaMesapechas. And look, I honestly don't have much to say. I wanted to read something from Rav Kook. Rav Kook wrote in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Kook in Midos Ra'aya, I think it's Midos Ra'aya. Rav Kook wrote poetry, obviously. And he wrote poetry in Chutz La'aretz, and then there's a break, and it says, Mikan ve'elech, Rabbeinu was in Eretz Yisrael. And this is one of the Torahs he wrote when he was in Eretz Yisrael. And he says, Mi yochel, who's able to l'shayar archo hagadol shel Am HaKodesh b'motzei Shabbos Kodesh? Who is able to describe the grandeur of the Jewish people on Motzei Shabbos? Mi yochel l'fa'ar karoi es ziv roimemus kedushas haneshama ha'Yisraelish, asher kvar hisnasa miziv pa'ira mekadushas hayom hakadosh chemdas kol hayamim. Who, in their descriptive terminology, is able to describe the magnificence of the Jewish people after they've come out of this gorgeous day where they've been endowed with the extra spirit? And he's talking about Shabbos. Mi atzor korach l'shorer l'tzayir l'achseis haziv. Who is able to describe as the beauty hadar hagoin hanifla ha'oile al b'masei oilam ha'oinek chama v'kumasa. And he goes on to say that anybody who has a chush of even being shaykh to pnimius, he's not talking about Kabbalah, he's not talking about Hasidus, he said anybody who has an ability to even feel like he's an internal individual should take for themselves on Motzei Shabbos the midah of Eliyahu Hanavi. They should act like Eliyahu Hanavi. And he quotes a Zohar that says that every Motzei Shabbos Eliyahu Hanavi sits underneath the Eitz HaChaim, in the shade of the Eitz HaChaim. In the shade of the Eitz HaChaim, which means that we have the Eitz HaChaim, which is pure perfection, and the shade, which represents the hiddenness of that perfection. Eliyahu Hanavi sits in that transitionary place between the perfection and the imperfection of reality. And it says that he writes down the schuyus of Am Yisrael. He writes down his Melamed Schus on Knesset Yisrael. Eliyahu Hanavi, every Motzei Shabbos, when we sing Eliyahu Hanavi, that he's going to come and he's going to be Miyashev Ardas and Miyashev Versveikos, he sits and he writes what's beautiful about Am Yisrael. And Rav Kook says, anyone who thinks that they have shaykhs to Pnimius, and anyone who even has a dimyon of being shaykh to Pnimius, and anyone who even wants to be shaykh to Pnimius should pretend they're like Eliyahu and sit on Motzei Shabbos and talk good about things. And talking good about something, and with this I'll end, mamish, but talking good in the eyes of Eliyahu Hanavi is talking by the Pesach, is talking by the openings. It's finding literally a tiny hole. It's finding something, a break, a rupture, a crack within the darkened out exterior that has covered everybody and everything, and to find it and to literally rip it open, and to higalana, to reveal now that inside of that crack and within that crack there's a reverberating light of enthusiasm and kedusha and neshama and elokus and or and all the things that we anticipate with the coming of Mashiach. And even though it's covered over by layers and layers and layers of darkness and chutzlaretz and the smell of death and the chush of a reyach, the reyach hara of chutzlaretz and of yemei hachol, that even underneath all of that there's the anticipation, that everything is pouncing with anticipation, and Eliyahu Hanavi is sitting just awaiting the time that our anticipation gets so strong that it's going to meet his waiting, and through the waiting itself, like Rabbi Nachman says in Torah Vav, that keser lima'at is melashon hamtana, that the keser, the highest midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's crown, the highest keser, Reishad L'Isida, is the midah of hamtana, it's the midah of waiting, awaiting incessantly, awaiting without expecting, awaiting without expectation, without even knowing what we're waiting for, just waiting in an aspect of sitting and being Jews who sit for so long to wait for Eliyahu Navi to come, to wait for Mashiach to come, and that's a midah that we could have on Motzei Shabbos, especially like Rabbi Nachman says, when it's hard to sleep on Motzei Shabbos, that a person should embrace those feelings of insomnia, of those murmurings within his heart that says that it's not okay just for me to go to sleep and expect the Sunday, but I need to hold on in a sense to the Or Choser of Noam. The Arizal says this all. Everything Rabbi Nachman says, everything Jabez says, everything Levinas says, Derrida says, is rooted in the Arizal. All the Arizal says in one line is that on Motzei Shabbos we tap into the Or Choser of Bina, which is called Noam, which is why we say Vayi Noam. Noam is the beauty that's born out of pain. It's different than Simcha. Noam is beauty that's born out of a process of coming out of darkness. So when we say Vayihi Noam, we're davening that the light of Shabbos should bounce back through the barriers that are blocking it from coming into the days of the week, and we should let that light envelop us and seep through the cracks and the holes in that barrier that blocks the light of Shabbos. What? Yeah, which is the doubling. We need to double it. We need to double it over. We need to say it once, and it's kaveh laHashem, and we don't have enough hope. And then we need to. What do we do when we don't have enough hope? We're kaveh kavisi el Hashem again. We need to get over the fact that we're upset and we're disillusioned and we're not expecting anything anymore, and be Moser Nefesh. This is what Mesiras Nefesh is. It's not giving your life up in the gas chamber. Moser Nefesh now is to have Amunah, because it's so hard, it's so easy to not have Amunah. And it doesn't mean it's easy to be an atheist, because that's BS already. These people are idiots. But meaninglessness is something that's very difficult to deal with. And Mesiras Nefesh is to, after our hope wears out, and after Eliyahu Hanavi hasn't come on that Leil Pesach, and we open the door and he's not there, and the kids are happy, but we're feeling a little bit anxious that it's just going to be another year where Hashem has still not Shvei Chamascha L'Goyim. So the Mesiras Nefesh that a Jew has is to be Kaveh Kavisi El Hashem again, to be Moser Nefesh. And Rabbi Nachman says it again in Torah Chav Zayin, by Pi Shnayim, that the Talmidim of Eliyahu Hanavi take from him the capability of doubling, the capability of re-endowing ourselves with the capacity that even after we give up hope, we can still wait. And that's what we connect to on Motzei Shabbos, the ability to wait like a Jew, the ability to expect like a Jew, even if we're not expecting anything. We don't know what we're expecting, but what we know that we do is that Teku will come and the Sveikos will fall away, and more Sveikos will come and those Sveikos will fall away, and in the end we'll still live with Sveikos, but there'll be Sveikos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but there'll be Sveikos of Reishad L'Isida. And that's just a chush that I wanted to say, and it's a chevra that understands these feelings. And if anything, that's what we need to be doing. The Mesiras Nefesh of our generation is maintaining that the waiting is not interminable. The waiting is not, as much as we want to say it's interminable, and it's nice to, and it's fun to say it, and it's nice to talk like Levinas and Derrida and Jabez, and this weak messianism of Mashiach not coming. Mashiach will come, and we wait incessantly, even when we've waited so long that all we can do is wait even more. And that's what Rabbi Nachman means when he says that Keser li ma'at, that the midah of Keser is the midah of Hamtana, it's the midah of waiting. That a Jew needs to be patient, and a Jew needs to know how to wait. And like the Lubavitcher Rebbe said all the time, that we've done what we need to do, and now Mashiach is around, we just need to wait properly and do what we do, and continue to act as if, and continue to do what we've been doing. Mashiach will show himself eventually. He has to. And again, I just want to thank Isaac and Chavra, everyone for coming. Sorry if that was a circular murmuring, but yeah, and that's why we daven about Eliyahu Hanavi on Motzei Shabbos. Shaya, Eliyahu Hanavi, Mashiach.
Mashiach ben David Raya Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben
Whoa. Hi, Micah. Micah said he had something to say also about Elio.
I saw you text.
Why'd you keep saying Yahweh?
What?
Why'd you keep quoting Yahweh with all these guys? What did you say to do with the singing?
That's him. Everything's about wandering. Jew wanders and awaits.
He was close with Derek?
What?
He was close with Derek?
Yeah, Derrida wrote about him. They're very close.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing. Derrida wrote that everything I've ever written is about circumcision.
That's, he says that's the custom.
So he writes all that. He does.
He's like, you can't use a straw. Come on.
No, sure. Come on, guys.
That's what he said in the Cut That Pie.
Cut that part.
Very good, Joe.
Yeah?
Sing?
Straw, really. Yeah, Ziff, good more.
Yeah, more. Over here.
Yeah.
Ziff sounds.
If anyone wants to have a stove break.
You know what's going on.
Stove break. After Nick and I'm gonna go to bed.
You don't understand the things I had.
Oh, no. Did you record that?
No, brother.
Strong.